All right, go ahead, Collin. Go
All
ahead.
right, hey, so Collin Castellaw, co-founder of PlayersTV. My background, I've got kind of a wild one. I started as a junior high and high school art teacher in a tiny little town in Idaho, and then from there became a D-list YouTuber, shot mechanics. Was an online basketball trainer for a few years, and then got in the media space, and that's how we first connected. So,
Yes, sir.
yeah, I'm pumped to be on the stream.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you being here, man. Can you talk about how Players TV came together? I remember when you pitched the idea to me, and I was with a different team then. But now that I have Shatayo on board, have a great team in front of me as well to collaborate with. How is it going?
Yeah, man, it's going great. So PlayersTV, we're basically co-founded by about 70 plus professional athletes. Kyrie was one of the initial guys who came on board and really saw the vision. And at the end of the day, it's really kind of all about, number one, athletes being able to own their own content, own their own IP, but more importantly, own their own distribution. So, we kind of saw this budding problem in the ecosystem where all of the traditional media companies were starting to jump the shark, get into the, this athlete versus that athlete stuff.
Yeah.
And really at the detriment for how athletes can connect with their fans. So we're like, instead, let's cut out the middleman. Let's create a platform that allows athletes to create content, distribute content, and try to change the game.
Yeah. Did you find a lot of people were trying to cut the wind off your sails? Like they were trying to, the competition was starting to ramp up their efforts to get in the way?
For sure. I'll never forget, probably really early on, there was an executive of a very well-known streaming network that we went for a potential investment. It was like, hey, we got some athletes on board, and they basically told us, like, this isn't going to work. You guys aren't going to be able to do it. It's not going to happen. So we're like, all right, well, we'll just kind of bootstrap it ourselves and keep it rolling. So yeah, it's interesting because anytime I think you're trying to disrupt an industry in general, there's going to be some headwinds. But that's why it took us, I think it was like 18 months before we even like launched the company from when we first started talking to you guys. So yeah, it's been fun to just kind of try to change the game.
And then how was it getting a lot of the players on board? How were the meetings?
Yeah.
Are all athletes created differently?
A little bit, but I'll tell you what, I always say this is the most interesting part about it is you guys are all really good at a lot of other stuff. And so it's kind of mind-blowing, like, the kind of the dumb jock thought that a lot of people have. Yeah, the stereotype. But then you get in a boardroom with them and you're pitching and they're asking you questions about your P&L and your balance sheet, and they're asking you about your burn rate and, all the stuff that goes into the business side of the realm. And it was just mind-blowing about how smart they all were, how great the teams are around them. And more importantly, how much they actually kind of care about the product that gets put out. Yeah.
Did you feel like Players TV, in terms of other, so we say Players TV being owned by a lot of players, did you see anything else like that in the marketplace?
No, and that was kind of one of the whole things that we wanted to do was like, so as a co-founder, I own way less equity than your average co-founder, but we knew that like to actually be able to create change in the industry, we need to do it with the power of the group collective. So we always say, like, a fist is greater than 5 fingers. So a lot of the guys that came on board early, like you and Chris Paul and Carmelo Anthony, you guys are all union guys that understand the power of coming together. And more importantly, kind of like coming together for the power of good, right?
Somebody in the chat said, Coach Collin, what's up?
Hey, Shot Mechanics, like, comment, subscribe, baby.
Coach Collins, that's wild. Saw his videos 10 years ago.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so you got a lot of historians in this chat too.
All right, hey, I got something for you here. Let me pull it up real fast.
Okay.
So here's the Shot Mechanics page. Look at this. How to shoot like Kyrie. 1.2 million views 9 years ago. You helped put me on it in a tangential way.
1.2 million views. You heard?
Hey,
you know what I mean?
Kyrie accidentally put me on.
We didn't share in the revenue. It was good. Go ahead. What were you gonna say, Collin?
No, yeah. So it's been really fun just to kind of build the company, and not only are we the first athlete-owned media company, but we're also now the first athlete fan-owned media company. So we did a fan funding round in 2023, raised $3.2 million from 2,200 fan shareholders, and now we just.
That's incredible.
So I'm breaking a little bit of news, but just a few days ago we launched our second fan funding round. So we're opening it back up to the public to allow them to own a part of the company along with the athletes and the original investors.
So chat, you guys hear that at home? There is a fan-funded, crowdfunded, crowdfunding going on right now. Please be on the lookout, Players TV. Guys, you don't want to miss this opportunity, okay? There are a lot of other examples that we could probably use to compare it, but for us, we don't want to compare ourselves to anyone else. Is that fair to say, Collin?
That's fair to say.
I appreciate it.
Hey, playerstv.com/invest will take you to all the information you need to know. It's funny you talk about parallels. Right? So my co-founder Duran, who I co-founded the company with, he always likes to think about kind of like the Tidal model, right? So what Jay-Z did with Tidal, where he was like, hey, we have all these record labels, everybody's trying to get a bite of the apple, but what if the artists come together and pool the resources first and essentially kind of like make it the first stop?
Yes.
So we think about it a lot the same way on Players TV, and really, most importantly, how do we keep it organic to the athletes, right? So, you know, instead of an athlete doing a piece of content that they're not super interested in or they're not passionate about, you know, we can do things that they're all, you know, really psyched to do.
Facts. So what do you think about Players TV over the next 5 to 10 years? Where do you see that success being, or what does success look like for you over the next 5 to 10 years? I have my own opinions, but I would love to hear from you.
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, I think our eyes are on IPO at some point. We're building this for the people, by the people, with the athletes. So obviously we're kind of like circling IPO, but right now we're just working on building a solid, sustainable business. And we've done a lot of really cool stuff over the last couple of years to do that. We actually acquired our first company in December of 2024. It was an ad tech company. So now we have our own built-in ad tech. So really the stack that we're trying to build is like tech, IP, and talent. And by the time you kind of stack them all together, we feel like we built something that's not replicated in the market, and it's responding so far.
Nice. This is beautiful. So talk about 11-year-old you. If you had any advice, I've been asking a few of my guests this, but if 11-year-old you, if you had any advice to give him, little kid, little Collin, what would you say?
Man, that's a good question.
You have your mic on you? Okay, it's right there. Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I think, you know, most of all, I think it's just hard work wins over and over again. And it doesn't really matter what it is, right? When I got in the teaching game, the harder I worked, the better teacher I was. When I got into the YouTube game, the harder I worked, the faster the channel grew. When I got into the Players TV game, the harder we worked, the faster it grew, and more, you know, kind of like power that we grew up the collective. So I don't know. It's funny because like a lot of people want to look for shortcuts, and a lot of people want to look for, you know, kind of the easy way. But there really is no easy way, right? It's probably just like training, where it's, you know, it's all about the reps you get over time, compounding and stacking over a course of a long period. So it's funny because like you can put in a ton of work, and then all of a sudden it can hit the tipping point. And so, you know, a lot of people, I think, quit a little bit too early on. And so I'd say, hey, get past the quit phase. That's always a big.
Get past the quit phase. That's important. That's another important piece of advice.
Yeah.
Would you rather fail a bunch of times, or would you rather get it right one time?
I mean, I don't even know if they're mutually exclusive. You know what I mean? So I think it's one of those things where you can get partially right. And it's a matter of taking what was right and what was wrong and kind of like mixing them together, right? So sometimes you can have like a complete fail, and you know, tear it all down and start from scratch. But even something like Players TV, you know, it took 2 or 3 years for us to really lay the foundation, figure out how to have kind of that scalable business model. And sometimes there's a little pivot here and a little pivot there. So we launched the company like 2 weeks before the pandemic shut down the world. And so obviously as a media company, you got to make a little bit of a pivot. So I think, you know, if you can have moonshot like right out of the gate, great. But it really doesn't happen that often, right? If you look at like the most successful people in pretty much every industry, they're successful a lot later than you think they probably would be.
Yeah, agreed. So talk about your upbringing though.
Yeah.
What was that like? Or, you know, how is your family involved in Players TV now, meaning just fans of it? Like, do they give you advice, or do they try to tell you how to do your job? Or because I have people trying to tell me how to do my job at times, so I go more for advice. So I come from a very, very supportive family, honestly, like the best parents you could possibly have. And I come from a line of entrepreneurs. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. He sold a seed company. My dad's an entrepreneur. He was an architectural firm. And so, you know, my upbringing was very supportive and very kind of entrepreneurial just in general. I was a massive basketball fan, hoop head. I'm not that talented of a basketball player athletically, just in general. I'm more of a long distance running genetics kind of guy, but just really got bit by the bug early on. And that's what kind of like led me to the coaching game, where it was kind of like, I really loved, you know, tinkering in the lab, working on things. How do you optimize jump shot mechanics and all that sort of good stuff? So I was a massive fan. Reggie Miller was my first favorite player ever. And so as a shooter, you know, had to get into that mold. Shout out to Reggie Miller.
Hey, shouts to Reggie, the absolute GOAT.
So it's debatable, but it's okay. If that's his GOAT, that's fine. If that's Reggie's his GOAT, that's fine.
He's got to be my GOAT for shooting I was growing up on.
Nah, Reggie's great, man. Shout out to Reg. He gave a lot to the culture, man, and to see his career, you know, play out the way it did as a young player, it was cool.
Yeah, it was. So a little fun fact too. So I got an art degree in college. One of my assignments, I had to make like a bust of somebody or something. I had to make a face. So I made a face of Reggie Miller and made it all out of pennies.
Oh, wow.
And it looked terrible. It didn't look anything like him, but it was cool. It was a fun tribute nonetheless.
Oh, man, that's amazing. That was amazing to hear, bro. Did you feel like Players TV activating during Summer League? Do you like what's new or what's next for Players TV during Summer League?
Yeah. So
do you open up that cap table to some of the young players that didn't get a chance to get in, or is NIL in your future as well? What does that look like?
Yeah,
if not having too much, you could tell me.
We're looking at NIL a little bit. You know, I think we want to stay as true as possible to the professional realm. With that being said, you know, the young generation is next up, and it's kind of fun because guys like you have paved the way in content, right? You're doing a 24-hour stream right now.
Yes, sir.
And you know, the newer generation, they grew up on content. They grew up making content. They grew up shooting stuff on phones with their friends and everything. So we definitely have a robust strategy for that, I would say, and still kind of that everybody eats model, making sure that we have enough room for everybody to get in who wants to get in, and you know, kind of continue to create cool stuff.
I like that, man. I like that. I like the sound of that. You guys, shout out to Collin, man. Hopping on stream, talking about the business. This is legendary, man.
Thank you.
It's legendary, brother. Do you feel like athletes in the ownership space, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship, do you feel like there is this, if you're not in it long enough, then you're not able to be a part of it?
Yeah, and
it could just be for other genres too, but I feel like if you're a hooper and you're trying to get into other things, there is that natural comment that comes to feed like, well, why aren't you in the gym?
Yeah.
Like, well, why aren't you working on your game? Well, why aren't you, in the gyms? Like, why are you normal?
Yeah.
That type of shit.
Well, what kind of drives me nuts about that whole kind of argument and conversation anyways is like, physically.
There's a couple getting married on the right.
Hey, there's a couple getting married out here. Hey!
Congrats!
Congrats!
Woo, 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 woo. I'm praying that it lasts. Hey, shit. I'm praying that it lasts. Yeah.
Go in the distance. Oh, goodness. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. So, so from a physical standpoint, there's no possible way to train all day anyways.
Yeah.
So, like, other than that, what are you supposed to do? Like, sit around twiddling your thumbs or whatnot?
The expectation.
But like what for? Because like Steve, the accountant, he likes to go play pickup with his buddies on the weekend. He likes to go fishing. He likes to do all this other stuff. So like, why? Just because you guys are incredible athletes means that you can't enjoy other passions, interests, hobbies. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
And that's really one of the kind of like things that we're built out of for an athlete, you know?
Okay. Do you also, this is probably like my last two questions, right? How do you feel that entrepreneurs that are in the media space, how can they collab more?
Yeah.
Like if this is just everybody's in the sandbox, equally sharing, right? Obviously, there's gonna be competition there, but I'm saying, how do we collab better? Like, how can I collab better moving forward with my content?
That's a great question. I think overall, it's really about eyeballs, right? So media more or less is just about attention. And so a lot of people kind of make it like me versus you.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like, well, every eyeball that I might bring somebody else is an eyeball that could be taken away from me or whatever it is. And really we found it doesn't work like that. We call it like eyeballs everywhere. 360-degree distribution.
Yeah.
So like the more you can collaborate, the more you can come together, the more you can do, social media collabs, the more you can do distribution collabs. A lot of people don't realize licensing content syndication is a huge side of the business. So like, hey, if you got a show or a piece of content, there's no reason that you can't, take somebody like PlayersTV and distribute it across the world, a bunch of places, right? Monetize that same thing instead of once by throwing it up on YouTube and giving, Daddy Google a bunch of money. You can monetize it 7, 8, 9, 10 different ways.
That's a fact.
If you got the distribution network.
That's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact, brother. That's a fact. I feel like this model is disruptive. My personality has majority been disruptive in terms of how I like to go about my business ventures. I like to be with people that are going to stand on their own square, stand on their own 10 toes, and really enjoy what they do and be passionate about what they do. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
I'm too.
Yes, sir.
I got one more tease for you. We can't show the actual video on stream because it's like that, that down low.
Yep.
And that top secret. But so this is a piece of new technology that we're getting to roll out. So this is your Like Okay series. You might need to hold it up to your ears.
Oh my gosh, that's sweet. That is crazy.
Global. So we'll get you tapped. We'll get you tapped.
Hey, yo, Tron. Wait until y'all see what he just showed me, y'all. We talking about, oh my gosh, we talking about something crazy. That is crazy.
We're about to change the game all over the entire globe.
Yo, that's legendary, bro. Wow. Yo, W's Collin in the chat, you guys.
Hey.
W Collins in the chat, y'all. Bro, wow. Man, I love y'all, man. Wow, that's incredible. Somebody already said what it was, but it's like
they're on it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They said, this is Kyrie talking in. I was like, oh, shit.
Microphones are too good.
Nah, but we appreciate you, Collin, bro. Thank you, man. If you want to give up the mic to anybody else, you good. If you want to hold on to it just to still talk,
all right.
You're more than welcome to converse with me, brother.
Cool. If anybody wants to jump on,
you rocking with us, man.
Have it.